Hey everybody, welcome to the Chainsaw Reacts podcast. This is episode number 3. As you can tell by the title of this podcast and by the picture you're seeing on your screen, we are talking about the DC Cinematic Universe today. I want to get to some specifics though, so in the description is of course the timeline of things I'm going to be discussing at what time they start, so you can skip to particular parts if you want to hear a particular subject I'll be talking about, or you can sit back and enjoy the entire podcast. But the things that I want to discuss in order is as follows. Number 1, of course, is the big reveal of our first look at Aquaman, of course, played by Jason Momoa. The next thing I want to talk about is what I would like to see in Batman vs. Superman and what I don't want to see in Batman vs. Superman. I'm also going to go down the list of films that have been announced, the solo films, the 2 Justice League films, give my little opinion on those. It won't take too much time, but I do want to go through those films and give my little 2 cents of what I hope to see within those films, or if I'm excited or not, and, go from there. And at the end of this podcast, as a lot of this is going to be focused on, of course, the Batman vs. Superman, but I do want, at the end of this podcast, to talk a little bit about what I would like to see within Phase 2 of the DC Cinematic Universe. Basically, after all of the films that have been announced, basically after the Green Lantern reboot, I want to discuss what I would like to see after that. So anyways, guys, enough wasting time. Let's jump into Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Let me pull up the picture here right now. This picture reminds me of the past photos Zack Snyder has posted before, with the reveal of Batman officially in front of his Batmobile that Zack Snyder posted. It was a very black and white photo, no color whatsoever on the photo. And this Aquaman photo you're seeing right now reminds me a lot of that, because when you look at it, ignoring the text, because there are pictures floating around of the text removed, but even with or without the text, there is not a lot of color on this photo. Now, what I do like is that you get a little glint of the gold on one of his shoulders, and of course one of his armbands, basically a metal armband, is you see the gold within it. And what I like about this photo is that it's, number 1, it's not completely black or white like the Batman photo. And the fact is that there's color just enough to give you a little bit of a hint of what the color of the costume is going to be and what he's going to be looking like within Batman vs. Superman, Justice League, and the solo film. Now, obviously, this costume could change throughout the films. This could be what he looks like now, but he may look completely different, like costume and what he wears within the solo film, or even within Justice League Part 1. But what, like I said, I like about this picture is that there is a little bit of the gold, so you have some color, but not enough to fully give away what he looks like. It's a great tease. Now, with the text, as you're seeing on screen, as I use this photo, people have made references to this and have said this repeatedly, and I'm going to repeat it here again, but it makes a lot of sense. Unite the 7. The 7 seas. This makes sense. It's Aquaman. It just makes sense. However, the other point that everyone else is making is 7 Justice League members. Now, I'm going to get to this a little bit later within the Justice League film when I get to those 2 particular films when I'm going down the line. But as of right now, there are only 6 out of 7 confirmed casted Justice League members. Of course, we have Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and The Flash. Confirmed cast. The only person that's getting a solo film that is not casted, that is a particular member of the Justice League, is the Green Lantern reboot that comes out a long ways away from now. But Green Lantern is a huge part of the Justice League, group that person has not been cast. So is that the 7th member of Justice League? Who knows? But that'd be interesting to see how they're going to reveal that. But also Martian Manhunter. What about him? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe at some point. Who knows? There's more speculation we'll get to later. But mainly to the main point of this photo, the text is a tease. The photo is a major tease, but you get that little glimpse of some color, so it's not a complete black and white photo. And Jason Momoa looks menacing. He looks like a badass. And honestly, I have more hopes for him portraying as Aquaman than I did before. And obviously, I wasn't like, oh my god, they cannot cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman. That's absurd. just to look at him alone with the beard and the way his hair was when these rumors were going around, it just made sense. Now, if they would have went and said, okay, you got to cut off the beard, you can't have the beard, you're Aquaman, you're going to cut your hair, cut the beard, and you're going to have short hair, short beard, or no beard, and you're going to be Aquaman. I think it would look, this picture, if this came out with no beard or a little beard and short hair, this picture might be taken as be taken differently, I think, by some people. I think with the long hair and the beard, that's something that adds to his look. Especially, it really does add a lot. Now, obviously, the tattoos and, of course, his costume is definitely adding a lot to it, but everything within this picture, minus the fact that there's not a lot of color, just a little bit of the gold, this picture is menacing, and it's a great tease, and I can't wait to see more. But I do like the fact that Unite the Seven is on the photo, and it really does tease the fact that he, ruler of the seven seas, but also seven Justice League members. Who knows the real reason behind it? But I think it's a realization of both, that we're both going to be seeing this being teased in some sort of way. So don't be surprised if we get another picture of Batman or Wonder Woman or Superman with Unite the Seven or something. And if that happens, if we get another photo similar to this, it's a different image of Wonder Woman or Batman or Superman, and it says Unite the Seven, then it's basically they're confirming that there is seven members of the Justice League, and this is how they're going to be teasing out the release of that. But anyways, let's continue on and discuss, of course, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Now, this is going to be a monumental film for many different reasons. Of course, number one, this is the film that's going to be introducing a lot of characters. A lot of confirmed characters and a lot of not confirmed characters, because who has been confirmed in this film, of course, is Batman, obviously, within the title. Wonder Woman, obviously. Cyborg. Now, at what extent Cyborg, we're not sure. Aquaman, there's a lot of theories and rumors and speculations about his role as well. But there's also been rumors of the potential of Martian Manhunter, maybe. Green Lantern, maybe. The Flash, maybe. There's a lot of maybes and a lot of speculation and rumor. But what is confirmed is Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Aquaman. Those are the confirmed other Justice League members that will be appearing within Batman vs. Superman. Now, I'm going to start off with what I would like to see, and then a little bit later we'll get to what I don't want to see within this film. What I would like to see within this film is a lot of things, but number one, the main thing is what I want to see within Batman v Superman is Batman fighting Superman. The title says it all. The fact that they've said multiple times after they announced this, because the way they announced this film was reading a line that Bruce Wayne, Batman, was saying to Superman. I'm going to butcher it, but it's basically, I want you to remember the one guy that beat you, which is Batman defeated Superman in The Dark Knight Returns. I think that's what it is, or yeah, The Dark Knight Returns. And that's the way they announced this film. Now, since then, they have said that that comic is that this is their own version of it, and then this is not a direct take from that storyline. But I mean, if this film does not have at one point Batman fighting Superman, not Bruce Wayne fighting, Clark Kent, we need to see Superman fighting Batman. That's what we need to see. That's what we need to see in this film. So that's a major thing that we want. Now, what's more interesting is how this is going to happen within the film, because of course Superman is a god amongst men, and Batman, he's smart, he's stealthy, but how is he going to fight an alien? How is he going to do it? So there's many different ways that he has fought Superman in the past, but I would like to see how they're going to portray it on screen and make it believable, not laughable, but believable. Like this is real and it's not a joke, and this actually makes sense of how he can actually fight back against an alien. I want to see how Batman does it, and I hope that they portray that within the film. The second thing I would like to see is that we get a little bit of teases of the other Justice League members, of course, Aquaman, a little bit of the Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and then that's confirmed so far. I would like to see them in small roles, not big roles, because my thing is that this is a film where Batman goes toe-to-toe with Superman, and they have a lot of conflict, of course. However, I don't want Aquaman or Wonder Woman or Cyborg having a huge role within this film that conflicts with what the film was supposed to be about, which is Batman versus Superman, a film about them two having their problems and ultimately fighting it out. That's what the film should be focused more on. That should be the main plot. Now, obviously, the subplot, the subplot that happens behind the main plot could be about the rise of a evil or something, and they have to, of course, at the end of the film, bring forth the Justice League, call them up, and get them ready to fight. So I think that's what I would like to see, maybe as a subplot, but it shouldn't be too much to where it takes away from the main plot of where Batman finally gets introduced and we see this huge battle go down. Third thing I'd like to see is that the Lex Luthor angle. Now, obviously, the casting Jesse Eisenberg. I'll admit it, guys. I was not a fan of this casting at all. I was a fan of Bryan Cranston. Just think about it. Heisenberg as Lex Luthor. Now, obviously, a much older Lex Luthor compared to Superman in this universe, but I think that would have been a cool angle, just to speculate. I think it would just be a very cool angle to see Bryan Cranston portray this very evil man, and he's already done it before on TV, but to see it portrayed in a comic book universe, I think that'd be something special to see that. But with Jesse Eisenberg, I want to see his side of it. I want to see his viewpoint of this whole situation, why he thinks like he does, why he wants to, basically destroy Superman, if that's at what point it's going to be within the film. I just want to see his side of things. I want to see what makes him so evil and makes him become who he is. I want to kind of see that. Now, obviously not too much, but just a little bit, because Lex Luthor is a major villain within the Superman world, but I want to see some of that, not necessarily his past, but to the point where we kind of understand where he's coming from, but also see the evil in him, and we really not necessarily connect, but we see that the tension between him and Superman is not finished. This is not going to be the end. Lex Luthor will be returning, and I kind of want them to set up that to where he's going to be a villain at some point down the road for a standalone Superman film at some point. I think that'd be interesting to do that. Now I want to get to a rumor that's been going around, and I hope this is not true. This is kind of in the middle between, what I want to see and what I don't want to see. This is the hypothetical if this happens. This is the way I want them to do it, and how they kind of end the film this way, rather than, wasting a lot of time on this particular thing. So this is more of what I would want them to do if this was true, which I hope it's not. The rumor is that Doomsday is going to be appearing within this film. Now, obviously, this is a very bad choice in my personal opinion. If this is true, this is a very bad choice. However, if it is true, and this is the angle they're going with, I do not want Doomsday to show up halfway through the film and ruin the rest of half the film, where it's not about Batman fighting Superman. It's not about their tension and their issues and ultimately the fight and all these other smaller parts building up to the Justice League. Now it's all about Doomsday. If Doomsday does show up, what I want to happen is that Doomsday kicks the living crap out of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and potentially Aquaman, if if it comes to that point where he has a role that big to do that, and they beat the living crap out of him, and they call upon the Justice League, and that's how the film ends. Doomsday is going to be the main threat, or potentially another threat might be showing up, but that's how they kind of end Batman v Superman. They call upon the Justice League because Doomsday kicked everyone's ass, kicked all four of their asses, and they just did not expect it, and they have to call upon the Justice League in order to fight Doomsday, and they may tease a little bit of another a villain. So I think that's the way they should approach it, with him showing up at basically towards the end of the film, not taking up half the film, not taking up 45 minutes at the end, take up about 10, 15, if that's at tops, 15 tops, and have him kick the living crap out of the four main heroes, maybe Cyborg too, if they want to do that. But basically that's how they end the film. They had this big fight with Batman fighting Superman. Doomsday shows up later and beats the living crap out of him. I think that's the route they should take if this is true, which like I said, hope it is not true. And that's basically it, really, for me. That's basically it for what I would want to see. Now, What I don't want to see, I've already mentioned, and I'll repeat it once more and expand. Doomsday showing up halfway through the film, because I think that it's ruining a potential of what Doomsday could do within the cinematic universe if he shows up halfway through and they defeat him or they kill him or something, or he just dies, or they send him away, far away or something, into a galaxy far, far away or something, and he doesn't return for many films, and now we've kind of ruined. Doomsday could be showing up and be in several films, but now he's sent away. So I don't want Doomsday to show up at all. I don't want him to show up at all, but like what I was saying about the last few minutes, teasing into the next film so he's not coming in this film and then leaving this film and never coming back. I don't want him in this film. If they do it at the end and then go that direction of continuing on with him. However, I don't want him showing up within this film and then getting defeated, because you're ruining one of the best villains, in my personal opinion, to fight the Justice League or fight Superman. That's one of the best villains in my opinion. Do not ruin him within this film and, bring him in as a villain. We have to have a villain because Batman's not a villain. It's just his point of view versus Superman's point of view. Do not bring Doomsday in just to have Doomsday and just to have a villain. Because the next film after this is going to be all about villains, essentially a villain group. So we don't need a villain in this film per se. We just need to see the different points of views of Batman and Superman. We don't need a villain just because you want to throw in a villain. That's just my personal opinion. So no Doomsday. What I also do not want to see is too much time within this film spent on the Lois Lane angle of Lois Lane and, of course, Superman. I don't want to see too much time. Now, I'm not saying I don't want any time spent on Lois Lane and Superman. I want there to be enough time to see that connection between them both. I want to see how the relationship is dealing with this whole situation of Batman showing up and the potential of the Justice League forming. I want to see that, but I don't want 30 minutes or something spent on just them two, a lot of time focusing on things and, the relationship and the love and the romantic. This film needs to be a lot of dramatic moments between superheroes and not Superman and Lois Lane. She can be in a few scenes, but if she's in it too much to where it's basically taking the audience away from the big thing about this film, which is Batman versus Superman and the Justice League forming. It's the beginning of the Justice League, and we're spending 30 plus minutes or more on the Lois Lane angle with Superman, and that's all we're seeing is Superman and Lois Lane and la 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 la. That'd be just too much. I think we need to focus on the big picture here. But like I said, I'm repeating myself again. I'm not saying no Lois Lane. I'm saying we don't need too much Lois Lane. There you go. Another thing I do not want Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, or any of the possible basically Justice League members to have too much time on screen within this film. This film needs to focus primarily on Superman and Batman. Now, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg that are confirmed right now need to have, I say, more than a cameo role. I say roughly 15 minutes on screen each, maybe together, maybe some separate stuff. But mainly I want this film to focus on mainly the introduction of Batman, which is the main focus of the film, because he is the very beginning. Batman v Superman. He's the very beginning of the film name. So I want to see a pretty good size introduction to Batman. The reason, his point of view of the whole situation of what happened to Metropolis, and I want to see his side of everything, and then the tension between him and Superman with the aftermath of what happened to Metropolis when he fought Zod in Man of Steel. I want to see some of that. So the main focus needs to be on the two main characters that are named within the movie title. Aquaman doesn't need to have a 45-minute scenes within this film. He needs to have a small role, not a cameo. That's just too little, because we're teasing all these characters just to have a cameo within the film. That's a letdown, in my personal opinion. We need to see enough of them to get excited for the Justice League film that will have them all together fighting whoever. So we need to have more focus on the two main characters, but enough time spent with the other confirmed and possibly more unconfirmed Justice League members than just a cameo, 10, 15 minutes each together in scenes, whatever, so we can get a feel for them, how they're going to be in the role within the Justice League and the solo films coming later, and then we'll finally, get to see all that unfold. But I want to see enough of a little bit of character development of each just to get a feel of what these characters are going to do within the cinematic universe and to see if the audiences will like what they bring to the table within the few minutes they have on screen in this film. Let's scroll down the line here. The DC Cinematic Universe, give a little bit of opinion on this. So let's start off with, after Batman v Superman, we have Suicide Squad, of course. Harley Quinn, Rick Flag, the Joker, all these characters. Suicide Squad's finally getting a film, and this is a very big, in my personal opinion, a risky move. But I think the reason why they pushed this to be the next film after Batman v Superman that comes out later the same year is the fact that we're getting introduced to Batman. And there's a rumor, and, going around, that Batman will be making a cameo or a small appearance in this film because of the Joker making an appearance within the cinematic universe right away within Suicide Squad. So that may happen. So we might see Ben Affleck again within Suicide Squad for a small role. Who knows? Just a rumor. But I think the reason why they pushed this, getting back to my point, I think the reason why they pushed this film is because Guardians of the Galaxy, a team-up film, did so well for Marvel. I think DC wants to basically have a Guardians of the Galaxy on their hands and have a Guardians of the Galaxy type of success. And I think with the current casting they have right now with Suicide Squad, and I think with the director they got, correct his name, David Ayer, I think it's going to be a phenomenal film, and I cannot wait for it. And I'm really excited to see Will Smith on film. Really excited to see Margot Robbie, and of course Jared Leto as the Joker. That's the main thing I really want to see there. Wonder Woman standalone film coming next June 23rd, 2017. Now, obviously, a lot of people, a lot of backlash for the casting of Wonder Woman. For me personally, Gal Gadot, however you pronounce her name, Wonder Woman, essentially. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't know, I'm not really familiar with her work. I mean, I know she's in the Fast and Furious movies, I believe, but I'm not really familiar with her at all, so... for me, it's kind of a 50-50 chance. It's kind of a flip of the coin. Heads, you're going to be it's a great casting, and she's going to work out great, and people are going to love her as Wonder Woman. Laying on tails, people are going to hate it. So, we're getting our first glimpse. We've already seen our first glimpse of Wonder Woman within a tease from Zack Snyder, a picture of her, but we're really going to get a really good taste of her within Batman v Superman, and we're going to see how well she does. Now, for me personally, the first time we see her in Batman v Superman, I'm not going to completely judge and say, this is crap, this is garbage, why? I'm going to give her another chance within within Justice League Part 1, but, who knows what's going to happen with that. But with the Wonder Woman standalone film, I think they've said before, I'm not sure if it's confirmed, but there's a lot of talks of it being an origin of Wonder Woman. So if that's the case and that's the way they're going to go, I think that's pretty smart because I believe that they're changing her origin. I think they said that Zeus is her father within this cinematic universe. I'm not really sure, but I think with Wonder Woman, they need to particularly focus on the origin of her so we can get kind of an understanding her background within the cinematic universe so people are not confused, so we understand how she's so powerful and basically who she's become. So I think within Batman v Superman, we're going to see that a little bit of her character, but I think the Wonder Woman should be an origin. After that, literally a couple months later, we're going to get Justice League Part 1, November 17th, 2017. Now, what I was saying about what I would like to see, what I want them to do if Doomsday does show up, is that Doomsday is the main villain of Justice League Part 1, or maybe it's teasing up to Brainiac, which is a lot of rumors are going around that Brainiac is going to be the main villain of Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. But who knows? But it could be Doomsday and Brainiac. Who knows what direction they're going to go? But if that's the direction they're going to go, we're going to see Brainiac and Doomsday maybe within Justice League Part 1, and we're going to see all of them together. I hope that the 7th member they announce, if I could personally pick the 7th member, I'm picking Green Lantern. He's getting a solo film at later down the road, a couple years after Justice League Part 1. But I think Green Lantern should be the seventh member, and within that film, we really get we need to see maybe some conflict within the personalities of the Justice League, but I want to see them work together. I want to see what they can accomplish being a team, because we've already seen that with the Avengers. We're seeing that again in a couple months from now with the Avengers Age of Ultron with a bigger cast. But I hope that Justice League pulls off the same epicness as the Avengers, and I hope that Justice League will be a phenomenal film part one. So I'm hoping for that, and whatever villains they pick, whether it's a different villain for part one and there's a different villain for part two of Justice League, whatever way they go, or if they have the same villain in both films or two villains, whatever. Either way, I'm excited for it because it's going to be it's going to be the big film, but after Batman v Superman. Sorry, Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman, but Justice League Part 1 is going to be the bigger film after Batman v Superman. It's building up to this, so we're finally going to get it. So there you have it. The Flash. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not really too familiar with the character, so I'm not sure what direction they're going to go. They may go origin with the Flash, but we'll have to see with that. But the person they've cast for the Flash, I'm not really familiar with his acting work either. So at this point, I have no really personal opinion about it. But I'm excited either way because I'm excited for this DC cinematic universe. I hope that it accomplishes. I hope it succeeds, and I hope that people go back to see these films and all that good stuff. So anyways, continue on. Aquaman, July 27, 2018. We've already seen our first look at Jason Momoa. He looks fantastic as Aquaman. I think that the Aquaman film, it's probably going to be an origin story. These films are probably going to be origin stories, or at least give you some backstory on the characters so you're not too confused with the characters. But I think the Aquaman film is going to be very interesting. We're going to get to see his home. We're going to get to see him controlling the sea. And I'm hoping that this film will deliver on the level of because a lot of people give this character crap. I mean, mostly the people that give Aquaman crap and say Aquaman is garbage, is the people that did not read the comic books, have not read the comic books as of late. Now, honestly, think of it: Aquaman, he is the ruler of the sea. People go, oh, he's useless. The new comic books that are coming out now, the new graphic novels featuring Aquaman, he is badass. He looks awesome. He's a great character. They have turned a character many people have made fun of and turned him into a really, really awesome character. Excuse me, I'm going to drink some water. And so I think that they're going to make him an awesome, badass character within, of course, Justice League, Batman v Superman, but I think the Aquaman film is going to show a lot of the haters how awesome Jason Momoa is and how awesome the character is. I believe that they're going to do this right. Shazam, April 5th, 2019. The only confirmed casting we have is, of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, not as Shazam, but as Black Adam. So whoever they cast for Shazam, whoever it will be, man, this person better be able to be more charming and loving for audiences to love more than The Rock, because The Rock is someone that everybody loves, everybody likes what he does, and he's basically one of the biggest stars, like not biggest stars, like best actors, but he's one of the guys that goes out there and he can do no wrong. People just love him no matter what. So whatever they go with that direction, I think it's going to be a weird film nonetheless, but I'm excited for Shazam. Let's hope that it does deliver. Justice League Part 2, basically what I was saying about Justice League Part 1, whether they go with one villain the entire two films, a different villain for Part 2, whatever direction, they must have some sort of plan, because these films are not separated like 3 or 4 years apart. These films are being separated by not even 2 full years. November 17, 2017 and June 14, 2019. So roughly a year and a half in between. So this must be kind of like what Marvel is doing with the Avengers Infinity War, having 1 year apart. So I think that this is one big, huge Justice League film split into 2 films. So they must have a really good idea for what they're going to do there. So whatever they decide, I hope it's a good idea, and I think it will be a good idea, so let's hope for the best for that. Cyborg solo film, I believe, like I've been saying forever throughout these films, Cyborg is probably going to be another origin or some sort of origin story, because, I mean, when you think about the Justice League and you think about the characters, like Green Lantern that's coming out a little bit later, which we'll get to in a second, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Out of all these characters, the Flash. I mean, for me personally, Cyborg is not a character I know a lot about. So when I go in to see Cyborg, I hope Cyborg is a film that has a lot of introduction and we get to learn a lot about the character. Because maybe I'm the only person out of the entirety of the world, but maybe I don't think everybody knows a lot about Cyborg compared to the other Justice League characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I think Cyborg is going to be a more a harder character to get across, but I think they can accomplish that if he's portrayed really really well within Batman v Superman, Justice League Part 1 and 2. I think people will be clamoring for a Cyborg film so they can learn more about the character. So let's hope that that works out for the best. But so far this looks like it's going to be a great lineup, so I have no issues. But Green Lantern reboot, I personally have not seen the Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds, and I do not want to see it. I don't want to see it. But I think that whoever they cast, they have to go with somebody that they really have to be careful with the casting, because when people see Green Lantern on screen, whether it's a cameo in Batman v Superman, whether it's Justice League Part 1, or he may pop up in Part 2 or whatever, who knows, the casting has got to be so good that people forget the Ryan Reynolds situation, and a lot of people have said that the only thing good about the Green Lantern film that Ryan Reynolds did was the Lantern Corps, where the where the lanterns came from, the green, where his origins are, where that planet. I'm not really familiar with the Green Lantern Corps, but the Lantern Corps, how they introduced that within the film, is what people said was actually good about the film. Now, obviously, some people may disagree, but that's what I hear. But let's hope that the Green Lantern standalone film is way better, and let's hope that people are actually clamoring for the reboot and actually wanting a Green Lantern movie, a standalone film within the cinematic universe, to kind of get rid of the bad taste in their mouth with the Ryan Reynolds. Now, quickly get to the what I would like to see after this set of films, what I would like to see the continuation of. I would personally like to see a team-up film, not necessarily a Batman v Superman where they're fighting, but a team-up film. A lot of things are going around about the Flash, Green Lantern team-up film where they're teaming up, like where they're both in a film together. If we're going to go in that route of having imaginary team-up films, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing an Aquaman Cyborg film or a Batman and a Wonder Woman film. I mean, just having these kind of team-ups they're going on with. But what I would like to see also is within a Superman solo film, is like I was mentioning before, the Lex Luthor angle. I would like to see a Man of Steel sequel where, of course, there's a Man of Steel, there's a Superman and a Batman solo film between these films. But for the Batman film, I would not for the Batman solo film, I do not want to see the Joker as the main villain. I mean, I think the main villain for the first standalone Batman should be Crocodile. It could be the Scarecrow. Maybe do that. Let's not go Bane. I'm trying to think who could it possibly be. I'm not really sure. I mean, I just want them to. I don't want them to go too obscure with the villain for the Batman solo film, but a villain that maybe we've already seen before, but a villain that I think will stand out. Maybe the Penguin. Maybe Mr. Freeze. There you go. Now, obviously, Batman and Robin, George Clooney. But I think Mr. Freeze done correctly could be a very cool angle. So maybe Mr. Freeze. Maybe go that angle. I think that'd be a very cool. Superman solo film. I was saying before, Lex Luthor. Get back to that point. Lex Luthor. I think that'd be cool to see Lex Luthor as the main villain with a Superman solo film. Now, obviously, after Justice League Part 2 and after the Green Lantern reboot. I mean, obviously, I want to see sequels of these films. I want to see more characters introduced, like Hawkman, Martian Manhunter, Hawk Girl, maybe. After that, I'm just not really sure. I mean, I want them to surprise me. I want to see some, sequels to some of these solo films if they do very well. But I want them to kind of introduce more characters so we can have more of a different lineup switches between Justice League films, to where there's more members coming in. There's more than just the regular 7 or, whatever, or they're changing out the roster so the Justice League films are fresh and new and that it doesn't feel like it's the same film each time. But who knows what way they're going to go. But I think so far with what they have announced and what we've seen so far, It looks great. So anyways, guys, that's the end of the podcast, episode number 3. Let me know in the comments what you think about all these topics, what you personally want to see, and all that. So thank you guys for listening. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.